Hello, my fellow wealth hackers. I trust everyone as well. From people I speak to who are investing in stocks and real estate, the response is overwhelmingly positive. With bumps along the way, nothing is ever perfect. Anyone who tells you it is, they're full of lies. That's why this show is called The Truth About Real Estate. In one of our own student rentals, we installed an air conditioner in the attic, and the students are not happy. The students are extremely happy, all except for one. The student whose bedroom closet that has the attic hatch, well, they're not happy at all because dust got onto their furniture, and they feel they weren't giving enough notice, even though my property manager emailed them a week in advance of the installation. I guess they didn't realize it was going in the attic. Anyways, we had cleaners at the house not even 5 minutes after the AC installer left. I know because I was there. The cleaners pulled into the driveway as I was leaving. We offered to send the cleaners back, but the student's mom wants to be present to check if the workers and my handyman are wearing masks. She asked that any work be held off on any other renovations. We have some, because of the air conditioner being put in, we have some bulkheads that need enclosing, because I like to have nice things looking nice. So she needed the time to work it out in her schedule so that she could be on hand, but she didn't want to take the responsibility for the delays because we need to let the other students know what the cause of the delay was. She thought that would be rude. I'm not really sure. Anyways, Cherry and I are big on customer service, hence we already gave a roughly 10% credit for the summer months to our students, which they accepted, and we of course offered to send the cleaners back at our expense, or to even pay the disgruntled mom to clean the room herself, if she preferred to clean the place herself versus having the cleaners come back. What does she want? A 4-month rent credit. Yes. Dust means thousands of dollars of whatever to her. She also asked that I be present when she comes to the property so that she can vent her frustration when my property manager is already there and on site and authorized to represent. I'm a pretty busy guy between family, business, and investing, so that wasn't going to happen. Plus, I'm not a fan of confrontation. We've already offered the student and the mom out of the lease, as there's seemingly no satisfying her. And as the saying goes, how you do anything is how you do everything. We like to avoid any future drama. And actually, funny thing about that saying, how you do anything is how you do everything. That's why specifically investors, make questionable ethical and moral decisions, I hope no one's surprised out there, but there are people out there that will do not less than ideal things in their own best interest to not do so well for the other party. Anyways, often these things get back to me, and if you're in, and then when those people ask to come on the show, they're not invited on the show, and also the people that they're associated with. Just food for thought. Yeah, and like the old Buffett saying, it takes a lifetime to build a reputation. It takes only minutes to destroy it. Anyways, so we offered the student out of her lease. It would be it'd be a chunk of change to us, but such is the importance of having multiple streams of income. Never forget that is the key. I don't know if it's the one key, but it's pretty important. Our portfolio can handle a hit in cash flow from one property if that makes everyone's life easier. Life is too short to handle the drama from someone who wants thousands of dollars in compensation for dust on bedroom furniture. This whole COVID thing is responsible for some special times. Thank you, Captain Obvious. I'm talking to myself. I'm here by myself in the office. In my own world, I've only seen my brother once since January. I was on vacation in February. Didn't have a chance to see him then. So maybe I saw him in February. Anyways, once COVID was full blown, I haven't seen him in quite some time. He came to my house to pick up a cooler for camping. He didn't touch anything in my house, as he is a biologist by education, and sort of by trade. He works in the pharmaceutical industry, refrigeration, folks. So I know some people hate that industry. Anyways, and he studied infectious disease at school, so he's more cautious than most. I miss him and my niece, who's only 3 years old, but he's doing what he feels by being responsible, and I respect his wishes. Families, tribes, society, etc. They don't get along without getting along. And that's leads me to my next point. I see all this toxicity on social media. It's crazy. Funny thing is, when I see these people in person, they're not nearly as opinionated on whatever subject, right? I generally don't engage, no different than I don't engage on discussions on social media around politics and religion, right? Whatever. From anyone who's read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, you'll recall he wrote about how no one wins in an argument. There are only losers. Often both parties walk away angry at each other, with neither being convinced to change their views, and sometimes it actually just strengthens their resolve. So what's the point? It's a waste of energy, in my opinion. Then there's one of my favorite tips from the super awesome Tim Ferriss, best-selling author of 4 Hour Workweek, along with 4 Hour Body, 4 Hour Chef. Amazing guy. Tools of Titans. One of my favorite people in the world. In his book, Tim gives an example of an upcoming election. Right? This is how he saves time, saves mind cycles. Like, we're all busy. Who's not busy? Who is busy to argue and research these things to argue about? Anyways, how he saves time and energy is he simply asks a couple people, like 2-3 people who have similar values as him, who are experts in in something like science or religion, right? Or politics, whatever, right? In this case, there's an election coming. He asks for his friends how to vote, right? And from there, he makes his decision on how to vote. In my experience, I'm lucky enough to be the son of a medical doctor, and one of my best friends from school, basically he got perfect. He got perfect through school and elementary, high school, and he became a doctor, so obviously he was strong in math and sciences. He actually got a 99 in English as well. The teacher felt no one gets perfect in English, so he was docked 1 point for no real reason. Anyways, basically got perfect in university. He went to one of the most challenging, difficult programs to get into all of Canada. He went to McGill Medical School. Anyways, so I have these discussions with my dad. What's the best to do based on medical science on how to protect his grandkids, and he gives his advice. Dave, my doctor friend, now works in a hospital, and so I'll ask him what he does for him and his 3 kids who are in the same age as mine. For me, that's good enough for my family and I. I don't need to go headlong into much more research. I do research some stuff just because I like to geek out on stuff, and I'm a concerned citizen, but I'm not going to go argue with people. And I'm not going to go looking for answers on social media. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. It doesn't mean it's a qualified opinion. No different than when I say the Toronto Maple Leafs need to trade for a defenseman. I have no idea who's available or who would be a good fit on our team, but yeah, I have an opinion. And I watched a total of, I think maybe one game this season, other than playoffs, right? So I have an opinion. I haven't even watched the team play. That's most of the season. So you're more than welcome to ignore my opinion, but please don't argue with me. We should already know this, but too often we forget it. You never know what's going on in someone's life, what they're dealing with. Physical health, mental health, racism, financial burdens, jobs, divorce, the list goes on. So be kind, be an ally, be a friend, be better. Don't have anything nice to say, then don't say it at all. If you wouldn't say it to someone's face, why would you ever post it to social media? If anyone out there needs help, feel free to reach out. I'm not hard to find. People find me all the time. Last week, we lost one of Toronto's finest. He spent nearly a decade with the Toronto Police Force and just over a decade with the Canadian Armed Forces. He was lost to suicide due to depression. Someone who on the outside had it all. I just wish he had said something, and I'm pretty sure we all feel the same way when these things happen. Rest in peace, Constable. I hope you're in a better place. You should have seen your funeral. There were so many people there to say goodbye. On to this week's guest, Lynne Tham. She was nervous to come on this show, which is not uncommon, to be honest. I hear this a lot, and hopefully no one judges. Public speaking, by many surveys that I've read, for surveys on greatest fears, public speaking often ranks higher than death itself. Lynne's kids, including my friend Simon, told her just to do it, and she did. I'll post. So Lynn wrote me a lovely bio. It's a bit lengthy, so I posted it on our website at www.truthaboutrealestateinvesting.ca, including how to follow up with her if you want to. It's a wonderful Canadian success story of a teenager immigrating to Canada, falling in love with the greatest country in the world. She started a family. She stayed at home to raise the kids. She picked up a side hustle in multi-level marketing. She excelled at it. I think I was putting it lightly. She achieved some of the highest levels in multi-level marketing in Canada. She later became a single parent, became a realtor along the way, had a wake-up call around the age of 55 that she needed a retirement plan. She invested in real estate soon after, and more recently, she's de-invested in real estate now to become a pretty successful stock hacker. I know we have several full-time professional uber successful real estate investors, like we just had Ryan Carr, and next week we have coming up Leslie and Jamie Collard, and they're over 160 units in different countries and more than just Canada. But for the investor who wants to take it easy and just be more passive, well, it worked out for Lynn, right? So without further ado, I give you Lynne Tham. All right, Lynn, what's keeping you busy these days?
Having fun is keeping me busy, actually. I feel like I've got to this really nice point in my life where I can actually say that work and life are in balance, and just really enjoy life, actually, which has been really nice. So this summer, I bought myself a blow-up paddleboard from Costco, and I've been out 2 or 3 times a week and in all kinds of places and all kinds of situations, and it's been really enjoyable. And then just, doing stuff with my kids. Stock hacking, of course, has taken a big role in my life, but, it doesn't stop me from doing all the other things. I mean, I probably spend more time on it than we were taught to do in the first place, but it just kind of intermingles amongst everything else. So it's all good. And then my real estate business has been thriving, actually. Almost embarrassingly, I feel bad to say this because I know so many people are suffering right now, but I feel like COVID, we've probably done more business in the last 5-6 months than we did in all of 2019. So it's, really been good. But, it's sort of been nice business where it's repeat referral business. So, we haven't really had to work that hard for it. It's just sort of nicely flowed and allowed me to do all the other things that I enjoy doing. So I feel like life's pretty good right now, pretty good balance. So
just to share, I think we're probably going to have our best August we've ever had. Excuse me. And we're actually having a lot of clients choosing to sell their investment properties. I think COVID was just, we've just been on this crazy bull run for so long. And then COVID happened, and then now people, and then the crazy market kept on going.
I know.
In case anyone doesn't know, we're talking about going up. And now people are deciding to take profits. So we're actually very,
me too.
My team is very busy. Is that the same? Is that the same what you're seeing as well in your real estate business that people are selling?
Yeah, it is. I think it's a number of things. I think one of the things I'm noticing, and this is true for me as well, is that the more time people are spending in their own homes, I think they're starting to realize what things they would like to change about where they live. Whether it's, the community they live in, whether it's the type of home they live in. So we've had quite a few people come to us just because they're ready to change the kind of home that they have. So that's been surprisingly quite a big amount of people.
So, sorry, Lynn, for the listeners' benefit, what geography are you referring to and style of property for anyone that doesn't know about your current business? So for listeners' benefit, Lynn has her own real estate team. She is are you a broker, agent?
No, I'm an agent. Yeah, an agent. No, an agent. Well, agent. Yeah.
So Lynn is a real estate agent. You've been in the business for quite a bit longer than I have. And so what geography do you cover? And then please tell us more about what are you seeing in the market?
Yeah, mostly Mississauga. I work with my 2 kids. So myself and my daughter do most of our business together. And so we tend to work mostly with first to second time buyers and sellers that would cover anywhere from Mississauga, Oakville, Burlington, Milton, mostly the west side of the GTA, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Our price ranges generally are probably anywhere from 7 to 1.5, 1.6, somewhere in there. So we
Mm-hmm.
kind of fit into that pocket. My son Simon, who's in Toronto, does a lot more Toronto stuff, condos, things like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I think if you ask all three of us, we're probably all having different experiences right now. So
Okay.
for myself and my daughter, it's just been crazy, actually. Multiple offers on pretty much everything. Prices exceeding what we would have expected before
Mm-hmm.
COVID, and certainly increased over last year.
Mm-hmm. Is that still the
Um,
high end as well? Because you mentioned you go up to like 1.6. Is still
yeah,
multiples
that
in one point in that
yeah,
area, that price range?
not necessarily as much multiples, but not taking long on the market, like maybe, less than 2 weeks on the market and selling, 98% of what they're asking. So I think, yeah, it's been really surprising, actually. I feel like a lot of those people are maybe people downsizing, and I think that they're realizing maybe now's the time to take their money and run, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I think people in a different age group, maybe people over 60 that are starting to think, well, this might be as good as it gets for a while,
Mm-hmm.
are taking the money and downsizing. So we've had quite a few of those type of clients this year. Um,
Are they
and
downsizing
then
to a different market or downsizing to say like a condo?
I'm downsizing to, yeah, sometimes different market, but probably more condo townhouse type situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of them have second homes, they either have cottages or they have a place down south,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. So a lot of times they don't need the size of home that they have, and they're just realizing they can be in a nice condo townhouse complex, maybe
Mm-hmm.
moving maybe from Mississauga to Oakville, Burlington, places like that. I find south of the QEW is preferable. They really like lifestyle. So, and I'm sort of thinking that myself right now too. It's I'm in North suburban Mississauga, so
Uh-huh.
the thought of being south by the lake and walking to nice communities, that are walkable and things like that. I find that's really appealing to people right now, especially since they can't travel. They want to be able to walk out of their front door and, go to the lake or, go to Port Credit or downtown Burlington or downtown Oakville, places like that. So I find that that's being quite prominent for us during COVID. So,
Interesting.
and then if you ask my son, the Toronto condo market has been up and down, actually. He's had some unique condos recently that have done quite well. But then, more of the cookie cutter, right downtown condos are, a little problematic, like they're taking longer. Yeah, so, and then myself and my daughter just had a Hamilton condo, which actually has been on the market for longer than we expected. It's
Mm-hmm.
priced really well, but we just haven't really had any action on it. So that's a little surprising to us too. So we're not quite sure why that is. Maybe people are just a little more nervous about moving to a condo if they haven't lived there before, and
Mm-hmm.
being in close confines and elevator spaces and things like that with people. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be the reason for that. So,
I'm hearing
yeah.
some stories where condo buildings are only allowing two people in the elevator at a time
Yeah.
if they
Yeah.
don't live together. That's quite
Yeah, that's true.
restrictive. Like say there's like
It is.
60
Yeah.
floors.
Yeah. No, it is restrictive, actually. And we've noticed that in showing condos recently too. It's, yeah, you have to wait your turn. And yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
that probably is a little restrictive for people. Yeah. And
I've heard stories as well. Sorry, go ahead.
it's maybe a barrier to why people are
Mm-hmm.
maybe not jumping in as much as they would have before COVID.
I've heard some early when showings were allowed to happen again. I even heard stories where um, condo boards weren't allowing showings.
Yeah. 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 We never actually came across that personally, but I have heard that too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard that too.
Fascinating. Hope the listener doesn't mind us geeking out because the average person doesn't know what's going on in these different markets. So I'm always interested in what's going on, even though it might not
Yeah.
be. I'm just a geek. I don't transact in these areas, and I just find it fascinating how
Yeah.
the market behaves. Because I've said this many times. This is a recession of the haves and the have-nots.
right?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Yeah.
like I was just at a restaurant, for example, and only half the tables are there, and I can't, and there's a fraction of the number of people that are normally there for lunch. So I can't imagine
Yeah.
what people's incomes are like, right?
I
Like the wait
know.
staff, and it's
Yeah.
awful. It's awful. But you're a real estate
We
investor.
Well, we actually have had one of those stories in COVID too, which,
Hmm.
made me sad. But yeah, it was someone in the service industry that they took the mortgage payment deferral for 3 months. And then when it was getting close to that time, they just decided that they would rather, sell and not be in that situation. So yeah, so we've had one of those kind of COVID casualties, if you like. And surprisingly not more, actually. I'm really surprised not more,
Yeah,
but yeah, yeah.
we'll see
Yeah.
when CERB ends. We had two tenants lose work. One should be back to work, and then the other one I'm not sure, because her side hustle was at a Swiss chicken place as a server, right? So
Yeah,
who knows when they're back to
yeah,
full, and not for a while. They're not.
yeah,
So yeah, so she was struggling that way. But yeah, again, haves and have-nots, because like you're saying, as you're sharing in your real estate business, it's been quite good. It's been quite
yeah,
March, April were bad for us, really slow.
yeah,
But I felt as if when May hit, it was almost as if it's just pent up demand
yeah,
from. So we just made it up over the following months afterwards. Um,
yeah, yeah. Well,
and
I
again, I
guess,
think it triggered. I think COVID triggered a lot of people to think, okay, it's time to take some profits.
yeah, I know. But like they've always said, even before I got into real estate, people always need to move no matter what's going on.
Hmm.
People get married, people unfortunately pass away, people want to downsize. So, I mean, I think that never changes no matter what's going on, really. It's
Hmm.
just, a matter of how they're affected by it, but it still
Hmm.
always happens, I think. So,
Awesome. So can you
yeah.
share? You sent me a lovely bio. I
Thank
should have
you.
responded to it. You thought it was too long. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you start? When did you come to Canada? How long ago? How old were you?
Right. So I was 18 years old, and I left England in 1978, and it was just supposed to be a 2-year adventure. I come from a beautiful old city in England that I didn't appreciate growing up. It's a gorgeous city. But, growing up as a kid in England, you're just fascinated by everything North American and, it's all exciting. So, I thought to come to Toronto for a year or two to be a nanny would be a safe way to travel. And then we were promised at the end of 2 years that if we were a nanny for 2 years here, we could then go to LA to be a nanny. So that was sort of the big attraction. And then somewhere along the way, I just decided I really, really like Canada. And I met my ex-husband and, settled down. So yeah, so that's the first part of my journey into Canada. But I loved it right away. Yeah, always have.
And then when did you become a realtor? Actually, hang on for a second. Where's your accent?
I know. It depends. Like, honestly, my family all live in England, and as soon as they call me, it just immediately comes back, and everybody looks at me like, oh my God, like, what's going on with you? Like, who are you? So, yeah, it does come back as soon as I'm talking to anyone from England. But yeah, I mean, I was 18, and all my friends were Canadian pretty quickly. So, yeah, I just lost it. Yeah, I'm that
Interesting.
kind of person. I think I just pick up accents wherever I go. So, wherever I live, that's probably going to be my accent. So, yeah.
Oh, and then you got into Tupperware sales.
Yeah, so I was an at-home mom in the 90s, and it just, I don't know, it came to me. I was invited to a Tupperware party one night, and the lady that was doing the party, she told everybody how she made $150 a night from going out, having fun, having coffee, eating dessert, and meeting
Hmm.
other women. So I thought, oh, that sounds great. So yeah, so I decided to do it, but I was terrified to do it because it
Hmm.
meant standing in front of people and
Hmm.
talking and all of
Hmm.
that. And it actually became probably one of the best personal growth experiences of my life because I had to really push myself to do something that was really uncomfortable. But I realized that I really love sales and, I just love the people aspect to it. And I started to do well quite quickly. And within a month, they'd given me a brand new vehicle. And then, you know, a month after that,
did you win like a pink Cadillac or something? Like what?
No. So back then it was a Dodge minivan, which was quite exciting for our family.
Oh, for the image of a mom, that's appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah. It was the one with wood on the sides, you know, it was
awesome.
pretty exciting.
Beaver panels.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was pretty exciting though. I mean, you know, we'd never had a brand new vehicle before. So, you know, to get a brand new vehicle after selling Tupperware for a few weeks, it was really exciting. So it was just sort of like a personal growth journey. And then, you know, I started winning trips to the Caribbean and all this kind of stuff. And
oh, you were
it was
good
just,
then.
It was exciting actually. And then, you know, you did well by recruiting other people. So I realized that sharing what I was doing with other people was something I really enjoyed, you know, because other women that were just at home with their kids, I shouldn't say just at home with their kids, but at home with their kids, it just gave them this, you know, chance to get out and earn money and do really well. So so I did it for 10 years, and then they approached me to be a distributor, which essentially means holding training meetings for people once a week. And I did that in Toronto. So yeah, it was actually a really good experience. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, and I used to go to Orlando for sales training because that's where they're based. And that was a great experience. I mean, there's nobody like the Americans for sales training, so it was really good. And yeah, it helped me a lot, actually helped me a lot in my life. So yeah.
Would Tupperware be considered multi-level marketing?
Oh, it is definitely. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely. So basically, you know, whatever you do by bringing other people into the business, you know, you make a percentage back of those people's sales every month. So, you know, so there's definitely an incentive to introduce other people to it. But for me, it was just always about, you know, that they could get what I got out of it, you know, and the fact that I got money for it was a bonus. But yeah, it was a good company. It was definitely a good company to be with.
So I know the listeners are probably wondering why we're spending so much time on it. You know why I keyed on it? Because a lot of successful people, a lot of successful real estate investors I know have been through multi-level marketing.
Oh, for sure. You know what? Who?
Jules McKenzie.
Oh, really? You know what? That doesn't surprise me at all about him. Like what I know of Jules, it doesn't surprise me.
I've had quite a few people on this show who, before they went into real estate investing, they've gone through all that training and all that experience, and so I almost wonder if it's a good path. And like you got really good training. You likely got some world-class training, but you made the money as well.
Yeah, no, but it's amazing training. Like people laugh at it, you know, like it's just sort of like a, you know, housewife job from, you know, the 90s, but it actually gave me better training than anything I've ever done since then, you know, including
people laugh
real estate.
because it's awkward for most. It's an awkward job for most, because you have to stand in front of people, you have to sell.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not a skill that many people have. And what do you know? Salespeople make a lot of money.
Well, I think it was never really about the product. It was always about the personal growth, you know, and going from standing in someone's living room in suburban Mississauga, being terrified, to speaking in front of 1,100 people at the Royal York was, you know, it was just, it was like a great experience for me because, you know, and one that I never thought I would be able to do, but it was really just from, you know, really the confidence that I gained, I think, from doing that job. So yeah, it was really a good experience. Yeah.
My previous guest was Ryan Carr. So he actually shared how he's been doing flipping on Kijiji since he was 15.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? Just like finding underpriced product and then going to meet with the seller and haggling, and then doing whatever improvement value add he can to the product, and then selling it back on Kijiji. Right.
Wow, that's amazing.
And he equates that skill, that experience, to his ability to negotiate $1 million real estate deals. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people are always looking for like the quick, like they're always looking for, you know, I'm guilty of it by calling things hacks, but many people are looking for like something like immediate results without putting the work in. But Again, many people on this show have put in a lot of work, gotten a lot of training before they're able
Yeah.
to achieve other levels of success. So you probably were doing quite well if they had you speak in front of that many people.
Well, it was actually the first year I became a distributor, and my distributorship was actually number one for percentage growth in the country. So it just felt amazing. It was kind of like just a great personal growth story for me. Like, to go from being terrified speaking in front of 10 people, to be at this point, and it just felt really good. So
That's amazing.
yeah, I think, yeah, it was great. Yeah.
So you had all that success, then why the transition to real estate?
Personal reasons. So along the way, while I had my Tupperware business, my marriage ended, and I was in another relationship after that ended, and it was just a really tough personal time for me. And I just found I needed to just kind of step back from it for a while, because I think when you have to motivate other people and inspire other people, you have to be in a good place to do it.
Yeah, you have to be
And yeah, and I just
on all
was
the time.
not, yeah. And I was just kind of depleted for 2 or 3 years. It just felt like I really have to, just rebuild myself. And plus it was sort of the first time in my life I'd ever been single. And I'd never really had to just rely on me, in terms of paying the bills and all of that. And even though I was doing really well with it, I was still used to always having two incomes. So I had two children, and now, faced with, having to pay the mortgage myself and, create a life for my kids who were, going to be going to university in the next while and things like that. So I thought I really have to just take a step back and figure out what my next moves are in terms of being able to, sustain our lifestyle and things like that. So I got into the car business, which was kind of just sort of like a trip into it scenario. I was introduced to it by someone who thought I would be really good at it based on what I'd been doing in Tupperware. And it was just something I could show up every day and, not have to worry about the aspect of building people and things like that. So being in the car business it was like being on Survivor. It's a very tough industry to be in. And especially after being in one that was really, kind of nurturing and, all about your personal development and all of that. It felt like a little bit archaic. It was sort of like those movies that you see about the car business, like any movies that you've ever seen about car dealerships. I found all of that to be true. So it was kind of a tough place for me. But, I got a company car and I made decent money. So, it was okay for a while, but I knew that it wasn't going to be where I ended up. And that sort of started me off on taking my real estate license, because I just knew that it was a place that I could definitely make a lot more money and enjoy it more too. I've always liked real estate, and I'd actually bought and sold my first house that I'd had on my own with another agent. And she told me that I think she'd done 10 deals that month. And I thought, okay, I kind of did the math in my head, and I thought, yeah, okay, this is something that sounds good to me, and, will definitely give me my lifestyle and, financial security and all of that. So yeah, I took my real estate license while I was working at the car dealership. I just used to sit there in the evenings when no one was coming in, and I sat on the computer, did my courses, and became a realtor about 5 years after being in the car business. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you actually gave a good go at the car business.
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was okay. But it was definitely not ever where I was going to finish up, because it just wasn't rewarding enough. So, yeah.
I've only spent 5 years or more at one job ever.
Yeah.
So 5 years sounds like a long time.
Yeah.
So you were in real estate as professional.
Yeah.
At what point did you make the decision to actually own real estate as an investment?
Invest? Yeah. So it's a little embarrassing to admit this, but, even though I was a real estate agent, I was doing quite well. I guess, you know, it's like they say, like, you don't always take care of your own needs in the business that you're in, you know. So I hadn't realized the aspect of being able to take money out of my home equity to buy a property. As crazy as that sounds, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize I could do that. And as soon as I realized I could, I'd actually gone to a seminar at Mike Cal Williams' office, and it was actually put on by a couple of agents who were representing Brian Poulos,
Mm-hmm.
who had done this project in Aurelia where he'd taken a small townhouse complex from the 70s and he refurbished it and was selling these townhouses. So I went to this meeting and it just seemed so attractive to me that I could buy a house for basically what amounted to about 235,000, I think it was,
Mm-hmm.
and take the money from my line of credit for the down payment, which I didn't realize. So basically, you know, just landing at that seminar, you know, and hearing that information made me think, okay, you know, maybe this is something I could do.
Mm-hmm.
And then around that time, I'd also been listening to your podcast and I'd heard Jules McKenzie, and I found his story really great, actually. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do it. So I bought that property, and then I went up and met Jules because he just seemed like such a nice guy. And I talked to him on the phone, and he said, you know, if you ever want to come up here, I'll show you around, you know, some different areas and what I'm doing. And
Mm-hmm.
he was just really
This is so
great,
nice.
actually. It's honestly, he was such a great guy. Like he took me to 2 or 3 of his properties, and then he took me to this new development that someone he knew in Aurelia was building, and introduced me to the builder. And that was my second home purchase in Aurelia. I basically bought a new freehold townhouse, 1660 square feet, that they were offering for 340,000, which seemed like a great deal. And all he wanted was 20,000 down for a year. So I thought, yeah, why not? So I had a little bit of confidence now after buying my first one, and I thought, okay, I can do that. So yeah, so I bought my second Aurelia property, and
Mm-hmm.
both of them actually really worked out to be good investments for me. They were both really easy. You know, as a single person, a woman, I just didn't really want to have to deal with difficult tenants and uncomfortable situations. So, you know, both of these houses attracted people that, you know, I was happy to deal with as a landlord. Both of them carried themselves. The first one cash flowed a little bit. And then I decided to sell the first one just because the complex started to go down a little bit. You know, I could feel like it was attracting more lower end tenant group. And it seemed like the whole complex was full of tenants. And I could just see that over time, you know, it was going to start to go down. So I decided to exit at that point. And I think I made about 18,000 on the first house. And then the second one,
18?
80
80
80,000.
is a good chunk of change.
Yeah. And that was in 3 years. And that was really exciting for me. And then the second one, I just sold last week, actually just closed last week. And I think I made about 100. Yeah. I think I made 145,000 on that one. So
and how long
yeah, it
did you
was
have
like,
that one for?
3 years. So yeah, it was really exciting. So
Were
yeah.
both properties about 20% down then?
Yep, they both were. Both were 20% down. But I just attracted really good tenants. My last one were actually 2 guys from Burlington, or their company was in Burlington, and they were engineers that were working up in that area. So their company paid me every month, and it was great. Yeah, they were only there from Monday to Friday, and they went home on the weekends. And yeah, it was very easy to manage, and yeah, they took really good care of it. So I was quite happy.
Sorry, Lynn. Okay, so the first property, what did you pay for it?
235. It was actually, the price of the property was 246, but then they were offering a $7,000 builder incentive, and then they were giving me as an agent my 2.5% commission. So it ended up being 235. So yeah.
So 80,000, and you put in about 47,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a 170% return over 3 years.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
So that's just under 60%. So that's like over 55% return a year. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
That's all right.
it was. And it was exciting because when I started doing this, I was 55, and I thought, well, it was starting to look a little scary with retirement, potentially in the next 5 to 10 years.
Hmm.
And I thought, I really have to start getting some stuff happening here. So it actually turned out to be great because really there was no other way I was going to be able to accumulate that kind of money in that space of time.
Hmm.
So yeah, it really helped me a lot as far as, towards retirement security and things like that. So
Sounds like it was
yeah.
like next to no effort for you as well.
Oh, it wasn't. I mean, other than a couple of trips up to Aurelia, but I actually really enjoyed it. And the last trip I went up, I took my paddleboard and put it in Lake Simcoe. So I went to check my
Right.
property and then went for a paddle, and that was it. It was, yeah, it all worked out pretty good. So
Amazing, amazing. I was having breakfast with my friend on the weekend, who's a financial planner for a credit union, and she was saying it used to be the amount that you need to retire, like the like a benchmark, or just academically, what you need to retire is 2.5 million at the age of 65. It's like,
wow,
whoa, like I don't know how many
scary.
people have that. And then
Hmm.
I started ranting about a certain profession that has a pension that's worth that, and
Yeah,
yet they're always striking.
yeah,
That's not, we're not going there.
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
so that's and do you still have any? Are you currently holding any other real estate?
No, so I decided because of stock hacking, which has become crazy successful for me. I thought, you know what, I just feel like this is at this point in my life the best option,
Hmm.
um, because yeah, I just don't have to deal with tenants or running back and forth, and even though they were fairly easy, I still had to just kind of sit on them, and it's just equity rather than money that you can access that's liquid pretty much any time,
Hmm.
like you can with stock options.
Hmm.
And I just found also that the percentage increase in the equity that I'm working with is just so much greater than it was with real estate. I mean,
Hmm.
even though the real estate was good, this so far has been incredibly good.
Hmm.
So for me, it's a better fit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now, you had some concerns going into this, didn't you? You must have had some concerns going before taking the class.
I did. I mean, mostly because I sat there at your meeting last summer and I listened to Adriano's story. And that's probably the biggest thing that encouraged me to do it, if I'm
Hmm.
honest, because, he was very open to say that, he'd never really been in that world or anything like that. So I thought, okay, well, that's me. So maybe if he can do it,
You're not a
maybe.
professional? You didn't do lots of, because your returns would tell me that you're quite good at what you do. So you must have a
Yeah.
significant background in this, right? You have your
Zero background.
CFP, CFA,
Zero
CPC,
background into it. I'd actually
CLU.
owned I actually owned stock for the first time in my life a year before I got into options.
Hmm.
That was the first time I'd ever owned a stock of anything.
Hmm. What
And
was it?
I'd made Netflix.
Okay,
So
well, that's done pretty
yeah,
well.
I know. I wish I'd held on to it now. I know. I really wish I still had it. But other than that, I didn't know anything about it. So yeah, it was really encouraging just listening to Adriano. And but I have to admit, I was still intimidated because when Omar and Matthew were talking terminology, and I remember walking into that room that night, and I was just grabbing a coffee, and Omar was talking to me, and I was talking to him about Netflix, and he started talking, sort of like jargon that I had no idea what he was talking about. And he was saying, well, if you would have had it in options, you could have written it when it was going up and written it when it was going down. And that meant nothing to me at that time. And I thought,
Mm,
okay, am I kind of smart enough to really absorb the stuff that these guys are talking about? And it did seem quite technical, but after my son took the first course in September,
hmm. He took
and
the
he said,
beta, yeah.
yeah, and even though, like he said, there is quite a bit to learn, but he said, I think you could do it. So that kind of encouraged me as well. He said, I think once you,
He
just
said, "I
take
think
your
you
time.
can do it." He didn't say you
Yeah.
can do it. Mom, I think you can
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. He said, I think you can do it. So, and then, yeah, reading the book that you guys had, really encouraged me because it was an easy read and it
Mm-hmm.
was really kind of easy to understand. And I think it's really good that you made that required reading for the course because that really helped me to prepare
Mm-hmm.
for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, being there that weekend for the 2 days, it was just fantastic. Like just, you know, listening to people's stories. I feel really bad because I can't remember the lady's name, but
Monica.
Terry's friend, Monica, that's it. Yeah.
We just
We
had
were
her on the
talking,
pod.
yeah, no, I heard it too. She was fantastic. But I remember talking to her at one of the breaks and I thought she was just so real. Like she said, you know, I just went for it and I just started doing it. And, you know, I made some mistakes, but this is how much money I've made. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is really encouraging that, you know, again, somebody that, you know, doesn't know anything about it can enter into it and have that kind of success. It was really
Mm-hmm.
encouraging. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I found those 2 days really helpful and people were really great at, you know, just spending time on breaks, like explaining things and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it encouraged me to go for it. So
I miss the get-togethers. I was actually thinking I'll probably. It's really late notice, but I'd like to see if anyone wants to get lunch tomorrow.
oh my God, that's
Sit on a
amazing.
patio and.
Yeah. Yeah. I find that just being together with people, you know, just when they pull out their phones and they're showing you what to do with the app and, you know, just different things that they're looking at that help you to gain
Mm-hmm.
knowledge and awareness.
Mm-hmm.
That to me has been more helpful than probably anything so far.
Damn this COVID! I think we can make a lot more people successful if we've already had a lot of successful people. I had 2 people tell me their returns are in the 50s this year. That's mind blowing.
Like
So
you talking about percentage?
yeah,
50%.
percentage. Yeah.
Yeah,
In 2020 after a
yeah.
crash.
Yeah.
You free tomorrow? You free tomorrow to come to Oakville?
Oh my God, I wish I was. Well, maybe I'll shift things around, see if I can be, because I would like to. Yeah.
I'll message you. I'll put something in the Facebook group and
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
Because I like supporting local business too, and the restaurant near us is man, another case for real estate. The restaurant, they've been it's called Montford's.
Yeah.
And they were renting. I think they rented their previous spot for like almost 30 years. And then they finally bought a place. And then the pandemic hits.
Oh,
right? They spent a fortune on the rental because it's gorgeous. Right? And then the pandemic hits, right?
Wow.
But at least and then I'm sure you've seen as well, all these restaurants just are closing.
Yeah, that's really sad.
And in terms of assets, I don't know what they have. But at least if they own the venue, like that's worth something.
Yeah. Yeah. I noticed actually even the Panera Bread, you know, which is a pretty big chain.
Mm-hmm.
I was driving down Erin Mills the other day and I just felt like something healthy and looked over and oh my gosh, it's gone. So I mean, when companies like that are shutting down.
What's the name of that area? I think I know that one.
Erin Mills Town Center. Erin Mills Town Center. So it's right across from Credit Valley Hospital. Yeah. Yeah.
What? They have like tons of customers then.
I know. That kind of shook me up. I thought, geez, if that has gone out of business. I don't know if the whole company has or if they've maybe just closed that location. I don't know, but
terrible.
Yeah.
No. Like seriously, like this is again like keep repeating it, the recession of the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because just like thinking for the landlords, for example, like they're losing rent. I'll bet you the Panera landlords had that for a while though, so they probably don't have a huge mortgage on it.
Mm.
But who's better off in the situation? The person who owns the property or the tenant, right?
Yeah.
Owning real estate's never been a bad thing. In our market, of course, there's bad markets out there. I'm just talking generalizations for the markets that we're familiar with.
Yeah.
So, can you share a bit about your stock hacking? How it's gone in terms of returns or whatnot? Because I get this is the challenging part is a lot of people's returns have been ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
And then people don't believe it. So Lynn,
I believe it myself, to be honest. I keep checking my phone and I look at that number and I think it's hard to believe. It really is hard to believe some days. Um, so I'll tell you what I started with, because one of the things for me, when I started hearing people talk, I was always thinking, but how much money are you playing with? I always wanted to know that question, because then it makes it more relevant to what they're talking about, in terms of returns. So, so I don't mind sharing this. So I started off with 100,000 from my HELOC, actually 150. So I transferred over, so 150 fairly quickly. And then about 2 months after that, I transferred another 40, so 190,000. And I've had that pretty much from the beginning of March. So that's my time frame. So as of today, I'm up 61,000 from starting in March. Yeah, which I'm just like blown away by. It's unbelievable. I had a goal of what I wanted to try and achieve. And this happened actually right from when I was listening to Adriano talk, and he said that he'd made over 100,000 in his first year. So that was kind of my thing to grab a hold of. And I thought, okay, that's going to give me something I can think about retiring on, like to be able to do that. So, and I didn't know how much money he was using, but I thought I know what I have to work with and what I feel comfortable with. So I started with the 150, then the other 40, and pretty much it only took me about 2 months, I would say, to be fairly consistently doing 8 to 10,000 a month. And then last week, while I was away at a cottage, I mean, honestly, this was probably like one of the best experiences ever, is that I think I made 12,000 US while sitting on a dock, checking my phone twice a day. So, yeah, so it's really true. And, I know people look at me and, I think friends and people around you get a little bit tired of you talking about it. So I'm a little bit reluctant, but I also feel like it's such a good opportunity for people, to be able to really change their lives, so I hope more people do actually open up to the idea, So.
It was no different with real estate investing too. I don't even talk about it among my family. They usually bring it up. How's the real estate market? Does it crash yet? Like, no, actually it's on fire. I've never made so much money in the summer in terms of my investments, like in terms of how they're appreciating like crazy. Right. Because most people don't know. Listeners of this podcast should know, because we talk about the market pretty regularly. And again, it's people who have good real estate are doing very well right now. And there's a good number of stock hackers that are doing like, you can't, I don't know if you can hire someone to make you those kind of returns. And that's the neat thing as well, because I've had many people approach us saying, oh, you should start a fund, you should start a fund, you should start a fund. Like, I'd rather you learn how to do this yourself.
100%. I agree. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I had accumulated a fair amount of RSPs about 5 years ago, and I had them at Scotiabank, and they were with somebody that was supposed to be one of their top investor brokers in Toronto. And even then, it was kind of like what Monica described on your podcast. Like, I don't think it was more than 2% ever. Like, it was very low.
I think they beat her, so I think they doubled her person. So that's really good.
And then, I did find another firm that were, they said, well, we can guarantee you probably around 8 to 10, which did sound great at the time, because I, without knowing any other options or things I could do, I thought that does sound really good. But now that, I think I'm close to 40% since March, it's just, you can't match that really with anything. So, I mean, to me, you can't match it with anything. And so I'm excited. So the money I just made from my second investment sale, I'm going to put into my account. And I feel like I can really do life the way I want to now, which is great. I love travel, and I feel like, okay, this is opening up a whole new world for me. Like, I can actually be that person that, is sitting on a beach with my phone in my hand, doing my trading for half an hour in the morning. Sounds great. So, yeah.
So can no one talk you to get back into real estate investing?
I honestly, I mean, I think real estate investing is great for sure. I mean, my kids are doing really well with it. I think, there's certain times in your life that I think it's perfect. But I actually think for a lot of people my age, especially, depending on what size portfolio they have or how much money they're working with, I actually think this is such a great switch option if they have a limited amount of time to meet their retirement objectives. I really think so. And I was telling you in my bio, I had a couple that were referred to us, and they were probably around the same age as me. And they were referred from another client of ours, and we had a Zoom meeting with them about a month and a half ago. And I remember looking at this couple thinking, like, they said, well, we have a house that's worth about 600. We have about $300,000 mortgage. We want to know if we can buy a property, to be able to improve our retirement situation. And I thought, well, at this point in your life, when you're so close to retirement anyway, and you're dealing with working with that amount of money, instead, if you have access to maybe 80% of your equity and we're able to take that out and do this with it instead, it's money that you can access now, and if you need it. And, he has a health concern, the gentleman of the couple. And I thought, instead of having the added stress of having to, find tenants and be a landlord and all of that, at 60, when it's maybe your first, well, in their case, it would be their first investment. This is a great switch option, in my opinion, to be able to really make a huge difference in your life over a year, 2 years period. So, yeah.
And it's not like we don't like real estate, because your son, Simon, is quite focused on real estate as both an agent and as an investor, is he not?
He is, yeah. Both my kids are doing really well. So, they're doing a triplex project in Toronto right now, and it's going really well for them. And yeah, I mean, they're going to do big things with real estate. And I think, I listen to all your podcasts, and I hear some great examples of it with, all of your guests. And I think probably if I was at a different point in my life, I would definitely do it. But right now, I'm just happy to do this. It's just so easy. Like, that's the thing. It's just so simple, and takes so little effort, really. And I really enjoy it too. So that's the other part, but yeah.
Can you name some of your favorite stocks? Again, just to preface that, folks, this is neither of us are licensed in this. Neither of us think we're experts.
That's true.
This is purely historical fact. This is not advice.
Yeah.
Please seek licensed expert advice. This is Lynne is being kind enough to share what she's done in the past. This is not a recommendation or advice.
Yeah, there will be some people definitely screaming out loud when I say these names that I'm going to say now. But
I'm sure some people hate on Netflix too.
Yeah. So, well, that's one of them. So, I've actually just had about 8 to 10, probably 8 actually, that I've just been rotating, and they've just been amazing for me. So Apple, Lululemon.
No one's heard of Lululemon. I'm kidding.
Lululemon. Which, I mean, for sure during COVID, and I'm sure until they find a cure, is going to be, continuing to be huge. Boeing, which, has been here and there. I know. Tesla. And
I had to cut you off, Lynne.
Yeah.
Again, folks, Lynne's just sharing, right? For the benefit of sharing, right? Please don't do any of this. Go seek license advice.
I mean, I will say though, I've been writing all of the options on these, very far out of the money, and actually reasonably close to, the date that I write them. So, and I've been watching them, pretty closely. So I felt comfortable actually doing this. So, yeah.
A year ago, did you think you'd be at this point?
Oh my gosh, never. I mean, if anyone would have told me that I would be making this kind of money from, be doing anything in the stock market, I would never have believed it. So it actually feels like a really good point to reach, like to say, yeah, I'm a stock investor. It feels really good. You kind of, I don't know, I always sort of put it in the category of people that, have way more of a financial background or even educational background than I do. But yeah, so it feels really good to be able to do it.
Oh,
So,
understand I studied this stuff in school. Like, so I understood how the math worked and all these things and all the Greeks and all the variables. I understand
yeah,
how the variables were, how you came up with them.
yeah,
And none of us knew how to make money with it.
yeah,
We were
yeah,
just pure, we were just academics.
yeah.
Wow, oh man. But again, I always say to people, if you learned this too young, I think it would have been bad.
Oh, yeah. I know, because it would probably almost like, I don't know what you have to do to stay motivated in your life, like when it comes so easily, like
Yeah.
it's, yeah,
Folks, not to
that's
say this is easy. Lynn's put a lot of work in.
been pretty easy, I have to say. It's been pretty easy. Um,
You shared why you sold the first Aurelia property. May I ask why you sold the second?
yeah, to take the money and move it into my options account.
I'm laughing because I've been accused many times of being just a capitalist and everything that we do on this show is just to sell stuff. They have no idea how much I care just to see people helped, right? So
Oh,
this is
totally. And
this has made a bit of a
yeah.
difference in your life.
It's made a huge difference in my life. I mean, I was introduced to your podcast 5 years ago by my son,
Ah,
and
it's
I honestly have spent so many hours in my car, like driving, whether it's for real estate or, I drive a lot back and forth to the US. And, so quite a lot of times I'd be an hour and a half in the car at a time. And, I'd listen to two of your podcasts and I would just feel so motivated, inspired by, everyday people's stories. And I can see that that's at the heart of what you do, and that's a great gift to give everybody. And there's no shame in making money. I mean, where's the shame in it? And especially when, you do the charitable things that you do and it allows us the time to be able to give back,
Mhm,
then why not? It's all good. So,
mhm.
yeah.
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 Yeah, we'll see how many times more we do Stock Hacker. It actually doesn't make that much money. It's actually quite a distraction for my real estate and for my
Yeah.
own trading. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Cherry made a
Yeah.
whack of money yesterday, and I missed those trades, and yeah, whatever. Is what it is.
Yeah, I honestly, you guys are really killing it. I know I'm doing good, but you guys are really killing it. I listen every week to your results and what you do. And it's crazy.
Oh, she's killing me this week. It's not even close.
I bet this week for sure. Yeah.
Oh, and let's talk about the women thing, because before we started recording, I shared with
Yeah.
you what the split is between men and women, because I didn't know, because it
Yeah.
was actually Facebook that provided me the stats, because when people pay or whatever, like, or when people
Yeah.
sign up for the course, I can't, we don't, there's no information that says male female. So for
Right.
only just an hour, like 2 hours ago, did I find out what the breakdown between male and female was. And so for the listener, just take a pause for a minute, just take a wild guess, because to me, like, this is called stock investing. Stock investing, for example, what,
Yeah.
like, there's no advantage between sexes, right? Like, there's nothing like,
Yeah.
you don't have to be bigger, stronger, faster, or anything like that to be able to do this, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was, and also from my own background and experience, for example, I've always had very strong women in my life. My
Yeah.
first boss was a woman.
Yeah.
Uh, when I worked for a company called Big Blue, my VP was a woman.
Yeah.
My second boss when I was there, my director was a woman, right? So I've always been around very strong, very talented women my whole life, plus my wife, right?
Yeah.
And then in my real estate business, it is very close to 50-50 who's
Hmm.
driving the real estate family. Like, often, most of our clients are married, but
Yeah.
uh, but there's usually one person of the relationship that's driving the real estate business, and it's 50-50 between husband, wife, men and women clients, right? And then
Yeah.
when Stock Hacker, and then I remember standing in front of the room at Stock Hacker in front of 400 people, and I was just shocked. Like, where'd all the women go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's not like I'm at a nightclub or something. It's more of like, I'm like, there's no gender bias to stock
Yeah.
investing. Right?
Mm. It just surprised me. I remember sitting at your Wealth Hacker conference in
Hmm.
November, which was
Hmm.
great, by the way.
Thank you.
And there were a lot of women actually at
Hmm.
that conference.
Hmm.
And that's actually what made me get up out of my seat and, run and do the 2-for-1 sign up deal or whatever was going on at that time,
Hmm.
to sign up for the course. And yeah, I'm surprised a lot more women were not actually pulled towards it,
Hmm.
from being at that conference even, because it seemed like, you explained it quite well. And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting actually, but hopefully more of them realize it's a great way to change your financial picture for
Hmm.
sure.
Hmm.
No matter what age you are too. Like that's another part of it, So
Hmm.
yeah.
And for the listeners' benefit, I've already shared with Lynn. The split is 24% of stock hacker students is 24%.
Mm.
So less than 1 in 4. And again, I was like, whoa! I thought it was higher. I knew it was low. I thought it was more closer to 1/3, right?
Yeah.
So a bit surprised. And then Cherry knows these. Cherry, we knew the eyeball stats, right? In terms of when we
Yeah.
eyeball a room, and then Cherry actually said she just finished Melinda Gates's book, and
Mm.
amazing, incredible human being, let alone woman, and
Yeah.
about what can I change about the world, what can I do for women. And at the time she wasn't trading, because Cherry only started in like March, right?
Yeah.
And the more, like, I was already all in. I was like, I was obsessive about this. I was totally geeking out. And then she said, I'm going to learn too, to
Mm.
so then other women can see me doing it, maybe they'll do it too.
Yeah.
And then she's absolutely killing it.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel too. I would love to be able to inspire women to do it. And especially there's a lot of single women I know too that get really fearful about their financial future, and I feel like it's just such a great way to, kind of build wealth quickly,
Mhm.
and they may not realize they can do it. So
Mhm.
I think it just sounds like you said, it sounds so kind of phenomenal, too good to be true almost, that I think people maybe have a little bit of a hard time getting past
Mhm.
that. But
Mhm. And you've been through a crash already, right? You've been through a very
yeah,
significant crash.
yeah, I know. And it's like I have lost a little bit along the way too. Like Cherry was saying in one of your podcasts recently, like, I have had a few losses along the way, but even with that, to still be up this much in 6 months is incredible.
Mhm.
Like it hasn't all been, smooth sailing,
Mhm.
but that's also allowed me to learn as well, like, different things to do and not do. But
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
I lost $40,000 US during the
Wow.
crash, right?
Gosh. Wow.
I got it
Yeah.
all back now, but there are some people who
Wow.
haven't.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do
But yeah,
you you guys are working with coaches, right? To help you like with your
yes,
trade. Yeah.
yes.
And has
This
that
stuff
like
is, oh, totally.
yeah.
I just finished Tiger Woods' book. It's not his book; it's a book written on him
Okay.
in
Yeah.
2017. How
Yeah.
many coaches do you think Tiger Woods had? Right?
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
people
I
are always
don't
working on Tiger Woods?
yeah, a lot, I'm sure. Yeah.
Right? It's just
Yeah.
it's just in me to do my best, and I know I can't do
Yeah.
my best on my own.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I hire
Yeah.
help. I hire
Yeah.
help people to teach me, to coach me,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and,
Yeah. I think it
and
might be my next move as well, like to go to the next level.
mhm.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you want to excel at anything, like for example, like, do you think you could excel at Tupperware without the training?
No, definitely not.
Right?
No.
But and then just the thing is bonkers, and there's so many people out there who won't pay for help. Right?
Yeah.
You're a
I
realtor.
know.
I'm sure you appreciate this. There's all these investors who won't even want to pay
Yeah.
realtors, and they're like beginners.
Yeah.
Like
Yes, exactly.
you are.
Yeah.
Like there's, I
Yeah.
say this all the time about stock people and options people. Like, wow, you're reckless. You're completely
Mhm.
reckless if you have no idea what you're doing a deal on your own for a piece
Yeah.
of real estate, because you don't know
Yeah.
anybody and anybody's if they're any good. You don't know if the seller's telling you the truth. If you don't know anything about home construction, what are you doing? right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's
Do you,
true.
like, does a beginner know what high-tech plumbing looks like, right?
Right. I know. Actually, when that first came up, it was surprising how many agents had no idea, and even some inspectors.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah, still don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Lynn, this has been a blast. Have you gotten Simon to spend a little bit of time doing
I
auctions?
keep pushing him. No, it's so weird that, I'm actually the one leading my kids now, but yeah, I would love him to do it. And I think he will one of these days. And my
He will.
daughter too. My daughter's fiance sat at the cottage last week and had a couple of lessons with me. So,
Fantastic.
so yeah,
I
I think
love to
they're gonna.
hear it.
Thank
Because that's
you.
always been our motto here is, we learn more to share, right? And that's where I
Mhm.
was before this meeting. As someone from my gym is in transition. COVID just trashed his business, and
Yeah.
he was on my demo. He was on my stock hacker demo, and yeah, just give him a walkthrough.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. That's
awesome.
great.
Lynn, where can people follow you if they're interested in following you? Are you on TikTok, Snapchat,
Yeah.
Instagram, any of these
Not
places?
TikTok. My kids would die if I was on TikTok. Facebook and Instagram.
Uh,
So, and it's
and,
just my name, Lynne Tham, and I think I'm the only person that has the spelling of Lynn, which is Lynne,
mhm,
and then my last name, which is Tham. So
fantastic.
Facebook or Instagram. Yeah.
Awesome. And then what about your realtor stuff? Do you have
Oh
a website?
yeah, I do. So it's thamteam.com. Yeah, thamteam.
Because
Yeah,
I don't
and
know if
on
you do
Facebook.
it. Whenever I'm dealing with an agent, I
Yeah.
if we're getting close, like if we're actually like negotiating something, offers, whatever, I always
Yeah.
Google them. And then if
Yeah.
I can't find anything, if I can't find a
Yeah.
LinkedIn or
Of course.
anything, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh boy, okay, gotta tread carefully here.
Yeah.
There might be nothing wrong with them, just that they're likely new. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with being new. It's just you don't know what they don't know, and yeah,
Well, thankfully, I have two kids that are great at technology, so we have a pretty good website. So
excellent.
it's pretty good. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, and I'll have all the links in the show notes, so folks, in case you don't have to stop driving and write these things down. So just go to the website, and it's all there. Lynn, any final words you want to share with the listener?
I'm probably just try it, just do it. There's nothing to lose really, and the cost of taking a course to learn something that can change your life is so worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can do it, I think most people could do it. It's really life changing. So I would just say go for it. That would be it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just go for it.
I think
Yeah.
that's good advice for anything. Even if someone wants to
Yeah.
do like e-commerce, like go do that. Take
Yeah.
a course. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Even read the book. Like the book that you recommended to begin with was such a great resource
mm-hmm.
and, quite simple to follow. And so, yeah. Oh gosh, what's the title of it again?
Money for
Money for
Nothing and Your
Nothing,
Stocks for
New
Free
Stocks for Free. Yeah.
by Derek
It's such a
Foster.
good book. Yeah. It's such a good book.
And he's
But
such a
yeah, I
nice
think
guy.
he is. Yeah, he is. Yeah. Yeah. So,
And he's living the
yeah.
dream. He's retired.
Yeah.
Oh, so if you have any friends that want to see a demo, like I'm doing one September 10th, 8 p.m. I'll include a link.
Okay.
I'll include a link in the show notes for anyone who's interested. I get requests to give demos all the time, but it's COVID. I can't have you looking over my shoulder, looking at my phone.
Yeah.
Not you,
Yeah.
but hundreds
Yeah.
of people,
Yeah.
literally hundreds of people. So September
Yeah.
10th, in case you have any friends that want a demo.
I
But
will. For
actually,
sure.
I think you touched on it. What do your friends say when you're doing this? It's just bonkers to me because if someone can consistently make money at something completely ethically and morally correct, I'm interested
Yeah.
in learning. I'm just surprised how many people turn that down.
I know. Me too, actually. Like it honestly really confuses me that I think people are probably just used to me being the kind of person throughout my life that's always optimistic about whatever it is that I'm doing next. So
Hmm.
I think maybe a lot of people just think, oh, it's just another thing that she's optimistic about. And but I actually am sharing the numbers with people,
Hmm.
but I think it almost scares them. I feel like they think that there must be some catch to it or something, that these kind of numbers are realistic.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm not sure, but I think the more I keep doing it and just, my goal is to replace my real estate income,
Hmm.
and, I'm close already. So it's actually, I think that's probably when people will really notice it. And that it changes my lifestyle, that I can be away for 2 months in the winter if I want to, and, still make great money. I think it's just by watching what I'm doing probably for a longer period of time that they're going to
Hmm.
get it, I think. Yeah. So,
Hopefully.
yeah, I hope so.
Because
Yeah.
it can change lives. Yeah. I
It,
spoke to a
it,
single mom this week, single mom with 2 kids, and she's averaging $2,500 a week. Right.
yeah.
Think of,
Wow.
I would love for every single parent in the world to have that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, to make these large amounts, and even if you scale it way back, for someone who's just starting, like,
Yeah.
so the person that I'd introduced to it, the client I'd introduced to it a couple of months ago, he took the course right after. And I had a conversation with him yesterday, and he says, well, he said, I've only got 10,000 to play with. But I mean, even if it's, from 10,000, it's making, a few hundred a month or whatever it might be, like that can really change things for people,
Hmm.
depending on who the person is,
Hmm.
so, and then they can scale it up from there. But I think sometimes it's probably just baby steps, like just
Hmm.
seeing that it's possible to make, because I remember when I first started listening to you last fall talking about it, and you said your goal was to like pay for groceries, I think once a month or once a week or something like that. And I mean, look at what you're doing now. So, I think if that was you a year ago, that probably is a lot of people. And I think they just have to see it,
Hmm.
so yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
Lynn, thanks so much for doing this. I'm glad your kids
You're welcome.
convinced you to do it.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you again. All right. Have a
Yeah.
great day.
Thanks. Take care. Bye.
Bye.